percentages
Just
of
the
payroll
subtotals.
increase and their.
They're all fixed and the summary sheets are right.
Which town?
Yes, I see.
We're all board. So we're all board. Okay, we're back.
I mean, what department?
The last department for
All right, I'll
this
get you.
morning is the fire department and communications. We have Chief Pershaft and Commissioner Wilson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Who'd like to start?
I will.
All right, Commissioner.
I'm not sure whether you have the letter that's dated January 16th that kind of highlights some bullet points that I'd like to just review with you. First of all, this budget that's being presented today is unanimously approved by the Board of Fire Commissioners. In putting together the budget this year with the chief, we've looked at a couple of things. One, the past 2 years of expenditures, the future mandated requirements from all the various organizations that we are accountable to, and also the needs of the department for the upcoming year. Also, we continue to seek, add, and retain volunteer firefighters as much as we can in our role of active firefighters, and also to supplement what we have in the career staff. This budget does not include any increase in personnel. There is no increase in personnel at all. Another highlight that I would like to point out is that we responded to 3,600 incidents last year, which is 99 calls over the previous year. To the budget itself, the attached budget does reflect increase in the salary line items as a result of management and contractual agreements. Conversely, we have a negative increase in the operation line items. Our overall increase this year is $94,582 for a 2.25% increase. Ambulance revenue, again, looking over the last 2-3 years, we average about $800,000 of annual revenue. We are recommending an $800,000 target again this year. There's a lot of variables that impact the revenue income, if you will. And again, those have to do with Medicare, Medicaid, third-party insurers, and individual paying. And I have to tell you that recently we have received updates on our Medicare and Medicaid code payments and so forth, and there's over 1,900 new codes that have to be implemented. And fortunately, we are up to date with them. They have been put in, but it is a training issue that we are continuing to work on with not only the fire personnel, but our administrative assistant. Before I get into the budget itself, is there any questions to that particular highlighted piece? Does anybody have any issues, concerns, comments? Nothing? Yes.
I didn't realize that there's a requirement for 16 firefighters at each incident.
Yes.
So whenever there's an alarm, you have to dispatch 16, or do you wait for, you don't wait, 16 have to go to every one, so with all, okay.
And you're getting that as a combination of career and volunteers.
Okay.
The attached budget, and we'll go into the salaries line, if you will. The first is the full-time salaries. You'll see an increase there of approximately $67,000. And again, as I mentioned before, that's due to the management, step level, and the IAFF contractual agreement. And we did negotiate a settlement this past year. So we're in the second year of the contract. Part-time salaries, there is no increase. In the commission clerk, there's a $6 increase. And the overtime, the $3,100 represents the coverage for hours worked over the Garcia. If anybody needs to, if everybody understands Garcia, it's over 212 hours. The stipends, again, that was per the contractual agreement that was negotiated. And replacement salaries, there is a $48,000 increase, and that represents a few things. One is the step level increases, vacation time and personal time, and additional money for the on-job long-term injuries. Last year, we sat here and we advised you that we had long-term injuries that impact our salary line accounts. We had the same thing this past year, and we expect that that's gonna happen again. So we have approximately, I forget how much money, Chief, you remember?
We added about $2,000 to that line item.
Yeah, we added another $2,000 to that line item in there.
Quick question on that.
Yes.
We should see reimbursement under workers' compensation for that?
It will reduce the full-time salary line. You won't see it in the replacement.
Right.
Because it's salaries that are paid and then reimbursed by workers' comp
Okay.
in full-time salaries.
All right.
And Matt, to that point, as you know, it takes time.
Right.
It's not a fast pay, and it takes its time to come back to us, but we do see the dollars coming back. Okay? So overall, in the salary line item account, you'll see a $118,988 increase, which is roughly 3.38%. Conversely, I'm pleased to say that in the operational side, we have no increases, and we are reflecting 2 increases in utilities and in fuel. So we have a negative impact to the operational side of $24,406. Overall, our budget is a $94,582 increase, which is 2.25%. We feel, and the chief feels, the commission and the chief feels, that the operation side of the budget, that we can operate with what we have and what we have done to mitigate and hopefully keep our equipment, both large, small, any of the tools that we have operational for the upcoming season. I will also tell you that we were the benefactor of approximately roughly $240,000 of a grant this past year that gave us the opportunity to acquire or receive additional tools, operational supplies that we need to run our department. We continue to look for grants, funds out there, whether it be obviously state, federal funds, to offset anything that we can or enhance the department that we have today. I'll answer any questions that you have.
Ken, one of the questions I had, I'm glad you brought up the fact that we've been able to apply nearly $250,000 worth of grant money to fund some needs, because as I look, your operating supplies are flat.
Yes.
But more importantly, new equipment over the past 3 years is, well, actually 4 years would be 0. Now, I know some of the equipment we moved to the capital line item, and again, my question, I have a couple of questions there, but my original question was, how are we funding the operation just on a replacement basis if we're not spending any more for new equipment and operating supplies at a flat line level? And your answer, of grant money is clearly one of those answers, so.
That's one of them, and we consistently, if you look over the last 3 years, I believe, 3 years, we have continually received grant money that we've applied for to offset those expenditures that would normally appear in the operational side, whether it be under new equipment or whether it be under operating supplies.
Okay.
Chief, is there anything else that you want to?
In the operating budget this year, we've asked for and received some equipment that's going to show a fairly large saving within the operating budget. And so that hopefully will offset any increases that we have in operating supplies in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one of the pieces with the help of the Board of Fire Commission, the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Finance. We put a piece of equipment in that hopefully we'll start seeing savings fairly quickly.
Good. So I guess the question I have here is, why is there a new equipment line item still existing there? Because we're utilizing the capital budget, the capital line
I
item
wanna
for most
take
of
it
their
off
stuff.
this page, yes.
And, so you are gonna take that off?
Yeah, if there's three, if it's blank all the way across, it should come off.
Okay.
Because technically, it's been moved to capital. It's not like there is no new equipment for the fire department there.
That's my
right.
point.
Exactly.
That's my point, okay.
And I think also, too, you might mention that since we got the, correct me if I'm using the wrong term, oxygen regenerator.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, so we're not buying the oxygen
Right, it-
bottles anymore.
Right. That was one
That
of the
officially
things.
just went into service this week.
Yeah, and
So-
you mentioned that at last year's presentation, that
We expect to
this
see
this
significant
would
savings.
save us a lot of money, and we're seeing that now.
Right.
So that
That's
is
exactly-
an explanation right there.
That's exactly right.
And also on your budget, and this was a great change, that we are no longer part of CMed,
That's correct.
Right.
which the chief has given me a great education by having me attend CMed meetings, and become part of Valley Shores. We're saving about $30,000 a year now for emergency dispatch services. So that's a big savings right there.
Right.
Chief, I do want to, and Ken, ask you a question. The problem, your budget looks very good, but the problem we're having as a town is our capital improvement line. And we've reduced, the finance director and I have reduced about $600,000 from the $2 million that was submitted in the 5-year plan. But we are looking probably for some more reductions. The $45,000 that you have for the replacement of the patio there,
Sidewalks.
yeah, that's, if we have to look further on reductions, can we, how critical is that? Can we look to the next year for that? Or-
I would say that that's something that needs to be taken care of sooner than later, for a couple reasons. Not just for us, but that's a public building. That's a public building that you use for voting, used for town meetings, various organizations. The way it was constructed, it is settled and it is pitched, and now you get icing during this time of the year, and then in the other years, then you get the heave the other way. It is something that needs to be taken care of. Now, there has been some patchwork done on it to keep it status quo, if you will. But I think the longer you put it off, the more dangerous it becomes. That would be my, and Chief, do you agree, or?
I think the patchwork has significantly removed the danger. So it's something that we can discuss.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, that's
But at some
good.
point, it's
And
gonna
maybe you
need
can
to
do it
be,
in pieces or something
Okay,
like
that's,
that. or
that's good
something
enough for
like that. I
now,
don't know.
okay. Yeah,
At some point, we need to do a risk
Right.
assessment, process, right?
okay,
so that we're not in a position where it becomes,
yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that go in there and vote and do stuff.
Yeah.
If
It's
it's
not-
dangerous, we need to deal
I
with
mean,
it.
And I realize it's right outside the community room, so.
Yeah.
it comes
okay.
all the way around to that whole side there.
Enough said, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask about the chief's vehicle? The last one, Charlie, you drove for about 20 years.
It looked like it, I always got the same color.
Isn't it relatively new?
90,000.
It's got almost 100,000 miles on it. Yeah.
Okay, I know
what
the
year is
old-
it? I mean, you do a lot of
It's a
driving.
2012.
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
I guess I thought it was more recent than that, and I knew the old one seemed to go forever.
Ken?
Yeah, Ken, you, in your cover letter, you commented on the effort to continue to seek, add, and retain volunteers. And past years, you haven't been very optimistic in that area, and I wonder if you could give us an update now.
Well, there's a couple things, and I think the chief can also jump in here, but, we're starting to recognize volunteers that respond on a regular basis, so we have an award and incentive program in place for them, so that they kind of like that recognition. That's one. Two is our cadet program is still strong and starting to, and I believe it's over 20 now.
Yeah.
20 people, and we have, and some of those cadets are now turning the age of 18, which makes them eligible to become firefighters or EMTs or both. So that's another source that we're looking at. So we're consistently looking at that, and also, trying to I want to say cater to the volunteers to keep them with us, not to obviously leave town. So there's nothing specific I can put my finger on and say this is the reason why, but I know with their involvement, we are meeting the 16 as you just asked the question.
So have those numbers increased in the last year or two?
I would say,
I haven't increased.
but they're flat, but we do more for them, I think, now.
Is there an age limit on if somebody volunteers? Like, is there,
For cadets, was it 14 to 18?
no, but I mean, if somebody
Oh.
wants, like, to volunteer,
18
just
to,
They have
physical
to, they have to
fitness.
pass the physical.
Yeah, physical
Yeah.
fitness criteria, okay.
Actively, how many volunteer firemen do you have?
How many are active as far as interior?
Interior 25.
25 interior firefighters that are volunteers. So that's obviously not significant, sufficient enough to
Yeah.
get what we need there.
And how dependable are they if a fire occurs or?
It's just time of day.
yeah, exactly.
Time of day, it could be the weekend, it could be during the work week there's a problem, during the weekend there's a problem. It's a nationwide problem, it's a worldwide problem. It's a problem with every volunteer board, and problem is the requirements that we have to meet OSHA standards and the PA standards require a lot of training.
So if there's
Always looking for new applicants.
So if there's an event that requires firemen, how many volunteers would show up for an event?
All depending on the time of day and
Circumstances,
et cetera. It could be none, it could be 23. That's not the norm.
But I'll also tell you, to add to that, is that, as you probably are aware, we have agreements. We're part of Valley Shore Mutual Aid. We have agreements with Branford. So if they have a call or we have a call, we help offset each other, especially in structure fire. We also have agreements on the east side as well. And if they need us, we go. So there's reciprocal agreements in place for both ways.
When you say interior, and this is for clarification, means that they are certified to go into a burning building.
With Scott Air Pack.
Basically, any area where the hazard requires them to wear an air pack. So if it's a hazardous material incident, if it's a car fire, building fire, carbon monoxide emergency, those people have to be certified as firefighters and be interior certified to do so.
So that's the highest classification.
Highest classification,
So-
and the toughest classification to maintain.
Okay, so I gather then there are other classifications then?
Right. There are non-interior firefighters who can, depending on, maybe throw a ladder, but depending on what the IDLH is, okay, they may not be able to go there and throw a ladder. They can direct traffic.
Okay.
There's certain other things they can do.
Okay.
Even driving a piece of fire apparatus, at times you need to be an interior firefighter.
Gotcha.
A couple of questions on the hose replacement for all the trucks. What's the lifespan of the hoses?
10 years.
10 years.
And since we've increased the replacement schedule of the trucks, we've gotten out of the 15-year, we've now been expanding some of the vehicles beyond their 15-year life expectancy. So now the hose is starting to get, we need to get hose. That is a number one priority, is hose. We don't put fires out without hose.
Good point. That would be difficult. The Lucas device? Could you?
The Lucas device we already have. I'm not sure it may have been carried over in error,
Yeah, we
but we
have
already
it.
have the Lucas device.
Used to perform
And the Lucas device supports CPR. As a matter of fact, it's been responsible for 5 conversions to people delivered alive in emergency departments since we've used it.
That
So
means you
it does do its,
It's 30 grand you can take out.
so
You may be able to get your sidewalk after all.
It's in your, it's in your
It's in the
budget?
capital.
Those
It's not in
sidewalks.
ours. That's why I was curious. We didn't put it in.
Capital budget.
Oh, you have it here,
While we're
We'll
looking
we'll
that
take
up.
another one.
$45,000
Yeah.
in sidewalks,
Um,
somewhere in here.
I had a question regarding vehicle maintenance. I see you flat funded that, basically every line item the same, so it's a roll forward budget. Is that gonna be sufficient in light of the fact that, including encumbrances, you guys are currently at 65% of your budget expended?
Should be, yeah.
It should be? Okay. CMed membership. What's left of our participation in CMed?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, it's a whole new CMed now. It has nothing to do with CMed New Haven.
That's my point. What should it be at this point? Who is it? What's the regional organization?
Valley Shore.
Valley Shore.
It's still called
Yeah,
CMed.
it'll be changed.
It's still CMed. It's called Valley Shore CMed instead of saying CMed.
Okay.
It's not New Haven.
That's what I mentioned before, when we
Right.
saved the 30,000.
That was right.
Right.
We went with Madison and Brantford to
I didn't
Valley
realize,
Shore.
And we still
I
get,
didn't realize I carried the same name forward. I
Yeah.
thought it was Valley Shore.
and we
Yeah.
get the same services. There's nothing different.
It's a state regulation, a state law. We have to participate CMed.
Right.
Right.
Understood. That's it for me.
Okay. Anybody else with the fire department? We'll move on to communications then.
Oh,
You have that too.
Thank you.
again,
Thank
due
you,
to
Ken.
some,
Nice job.
Yeah,
oh, I got it. In communications, the only increases again are in salaries. And full-time salaries due to a step increase, and overtime salaries is due to increase in vacation time and holiday time. So the total for increase in the communications budget is $2,127. Again, we're doing cost savings in the budget, and hopefully those will reflect in this year's budget.
Right, but we still have the contract to settle, right?
They're represented by UPSU,
Right.
which
Right.
right now we're in negotiations.
So we're in negotiations. Budget looks real good.
Having fun with that?
It's a rather spare document.
Pardon me? Okay. Any questions on communications? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay,
Is that right?
this would be it for this. I need a motion to adjourn, but before we adjourn, just a reminder, tomorrow we'll continue with the rest of the departments. Again, 8:30, same room.
So moved.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Joe,
Thank you, everyone.
The meeting I had this morning, I canceled for tomorrow, so I'll be here about 9.